The forest has always been my sanctuary, a place where the world fades away and the whispers of the wind tell ancient stories. I've spent years hiking these remote trails, thinking I knew every sound, every shadow. But one late afternoon, as the sun began to cast long, golden fingers through the dense canopy, I heard something that stopped me dead in my tracks. It wasn't the familiar snap of a twig under a deer's hoof, or the chattering of squirrels. It was a soft whimpering sound, filled with a kind of sorrow that felt almost human. Curiosity, mixed with a healthy dose of caution, pulled me off the marked path. I moved slowly, my heart thumping against my ribs. The whimpering grew louder, more distinct. It was coming from a small, rocky alcove, almost hidden by a curtain of hanging moss. Pushing the moss aside, my breath caught in my throat. There, huddled in the shadows, was something I couldn't comprehend. It was small, maybe the size of a human toddler, covered in thick, dark brown fur. Its face was astonishingly expressive, with large, dark eyes that were wide with fear and shining with unshed tears. It looked up at me, and in that moment, I wasn't looking at an animal. I was looking at a child. A baby Bigfoot. My mind raced, trying to process the impossible creature before me. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to get away from whatever its much larger parents might be. But I couldn't. Those eyes, so full of terror and loneliness, held me captive. It was shivering, and I noticed one of its little legs was twisted at an unnatural angle, pinned beneath a fallen rock that was far too heavy for it to move on its own. The whimpering sound it made was heartbreaking. It wasn't a threat. It was a plea for help. Slowly, very slowly, I knelt down, keeping my movements gentle and none. I held out my empty hands, palms up, and spoke in the softest voice I could manage. "Hey there, little guy. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." The baby creature flinched, pressing itself further into the rock wall. Its tiny fists clenched. I could see the panic in its eyes, the deep-seated fear of the unknown. I knew I had to earn its trust, and I had to do it quickly. The sun was setting, and the forest was growing colder. I took off my backpack and rummaged inside, pulling out an apple and my water bottle. I set the apple on the ground and rolled it gently toward the little creature. It watched the apple, its nose twitching, but it didn't move. Then, I unscrewed my water bottle and poured a little water into the cap, pushing it just within its reach. It stared at the water, then back at me, its gaze filled with a mixture of suspicion and desperate need. I backed away a few feet, giving it space, and sat down on the damp earth, making myself as small as possible. We stayed like that for what felt like an eternity. The forest grew darker, and the sounds of the night began to emerge. The baby's shivering intensified. Finally, with a hesitant movement, it stretched out a furry hand and touched the bottle cap, dipping a finger into the water before quickly bringing it to its lips. Then, it reached for the apple, its tiny hands struggling to get a grip. A wave of relief washed over me. It was a start. Seeing it was still trapped, I knew I had to do something about the rock. "Okay, little one," I whispered. "I need to get that rock off you. I'm going to come a little closer now." I crawled forward on my hands and knees, inch by inch. The baby Bigfoot tensed up again, letting out a low growl of warning. "Easy, easy," I soothed. "I'm just here to help." I reached the rock and examined it. It was heavy, but I thought I could leave it off if I was careful. I positioned myself, getting a firm grip on the edge of the stone. "This might scare you for a second, but it'll be over quick. Just hang on." I took a deep breath and heaved with all my strength. The rock groaned and shifted. The baby creature cried out, a sharp, piercing sound of pain and fear. I gritted my teeth and gave one final, desperate push. The rock tilted and rolled away, freeing the trapped leg. I scrambled back immediately, giving it space. The little one whimpered, tentatively moving its injured leg. It was clearly hurt, but it was free. It looked at its leg, then looked at me. The expression in its eyes changed. The terror was replaced by something else. Confusion, maybe even a flicker of gratitude. It was a profound moment, a silent communication that transcended species. Suddenly, a sound from the deep woods shattered the quiet. It was a low, resonant call, a deep-chested hoot that vibrated through the ground. The baby's head shot up, its ears perked. It answered with a series of high-pitched chirps and clicks. The call from the woods came again, closer this time. I felt a primal fear grip me. The parents. They were coming. I knew I had to leave, and leave now. This was their world, not mine. I backed away slowly, never taking my eyes off the baby. Your family's here, Primera Said softly, more to myself than to it. You're going to be okay. As I retreated, something truly surprising happened. The little creature, using its good leg and arms to prop itself up, dragged itself a few feet toward me. It let out another soft chirp, not of fear, but of something else. A farewell, a thank you. I'll never know for sure. From the shadows of the forest, a massive figure emerged. It was colossal, easily over 8 feet tall, a silhouette of immense power against the fading light. My blood ran cold. It moved with a silent grace that defied its size. It stopped and looked down at its child. Tenit's Yushi dark eyes found me. I was frozen, expecting a roar, an attack, a violent end to my story. But it didn't happen. The giant creature simply stood there, watching me. There was no menace in its gaze, only an ancient, deep intelligence. It seemed to be assessing the situation: its child, injured but free, and me, the strange, small being who had helped. It gave a low rumble, a sound that resonated deep in my chest, and then gently, it scooped up the baby in one enormous hand. The little one nestled against its parent's chest, looking over its shoulder at me one last time. Then, as silently as it appeared, the massive Bigfoot turned and melted back into the impenetrable darkness of the forest, carrying its child to safety. I was left alone, my heart pounding, my mind reeling from what I had just witnessed. I had come face to face with a legend, a myth brought to life. But it wasn't a monster. It was a parent, caring for its child. Walking back to the trail in the near-total darkness, I felt changed. The world seemed bigger, more mysterious, and filled with more wonder than I had ever imagined. I kept their secret. I never told anyone the exact location, and I never went back to that specific alcove. It was their place, their sanctuary. But sometimes, when I'm deep in the woods, I listen for that low, resonant call, and I remember those scared little eyes, and the incredible, surprising moment of connection I shared with the baby Bigfoot. Thanks for watching, and if you have your own unexplained story of the wild, I'd love to read it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more adventures into the unknown.